Hey, for once it didn't take me a year to make another video. I know, it's crazy, right? Anyways, Sonic, MatPat, the world's collapsing, that's all you need to know.
Propaganda, burial to be. Crossing through the night in blood lakes misery. The policy.
Though really, I will go ahead and explain what is happening in this video. Some late-tier Sonic character did a commentary on that evil MatPat guy because he did a film theory video about the new Sonic movie. That's all I got. Roll the intro. Today, please.
All is not made dead. New does not made best. No hard feelings. I'm trying to be right about everything that's said. Yours is not made mine. Guilt does not made die. We are not your kind. No excuses. I challenge you to all a fucking lie.
Hello, Internet! Welcome to Film Theory, where today, after 4 long years, we finally give this channel its rite of passage, a video dedicated to Sonic speed. You see, the first really big video that I ever did here on YouTube was over on the sister channel Game Theory, and was one dedicated to calculating Sonic's speed across his games. It was my first video to ever cross 100,000 views, in fact. And when I found him to just be a wee bit slower than the games advertise, it caught everyone by surprise and made a decent number of people angry.
Well, that could be because you compared an 8-bit character from 1985 to a 16-bit character from 1991, who each run on a different console with different processing speed and power, but I'm sure that's not it.
Hi, I don't normally watch MatPat, nor do I really care about him. What do you mean by this? Was there any large backlash from him comparing the speeds between Mario and Sonic? I don't know, and you sure don't bother to show it.
But today, I've got something that's maybe even more shocking. Say what you will about the Sonic movie's character design, like the fact that he looks like a grown man in a furry Halloween costume, or the fact that Sonic's teeth are literal nightmare fuel, or the fact that when you freeze it on this particular frame, it looks like he has a goatee, which is something that you can never unsee after this moment.
Gee, thanks, MatPat, that's exactly what I needed. Okay, yes, I know I'm being a bit nitpicky here, but as a massive Sonic fan, I do have things to say about his statements later on.
Yeah, cool, I was starting to worry that the rest of the video would be one-off quips like this. Also, what exactly are you nitpicking? The joke where he said that Sonic looked like he has a goatee? Honestly, I would have taken your response as a poorly delivered joke, but then you turn around and call it a nitpick. So, what's your point here?
But today, I'm also going to prove to you that for as much as they got wrong in this trailer, there is one thing that they got absolutely right.
Oh, you mean Jim Carrey as Robotnik?
This is the single most accurate Sonic that we have ever seen.
Compared to what? As of this recording, Sonic has had 6 different iterations, not including super forms or exclusive forms of certain games like the Werehog, as well as different voice actors. 7 if you count the as-of-yet unreleased redesign for the movie. Which Sonic are you comparing this to?
I think he just means that this specific Sonic is the most accurate in general to how he's hyped up to regarding how fast he can go. He's not comparing him to any specific Sonic era, at least directly.
Don't believe me? Stick around and get ready to be convinced. Now, while you, Internet, watched that trailer one time and then immediately went to bleach your brain, I have watched it no less than 50 times. And
Okay, I know you say that you slow it down to frame by frame, but what does that have to do with anything?
Nothing. It was just an exaggerated joke.
how the electricity that Sonic generates just kinda appears everywhere for some reason. That it's not necessarily tied to the location that he just traveled through.
Okay, you could make the argument that Sonic is generating static electricity by moving as fast as he does. Hell, in the trailer we see worn out shoes in piles.
Which is without a doubt from electricity and totally not from wearing them out by running. Though seriously, these sneakers look to just be worn out from use. Nothing from the way they look really suggests electrical damage.
It's possible that Sonic moves so fast he is generating electricity by pure friction with the ground instead of fire.
No, I'm positive this isn't how it works. What I think you're trying to refer to is charging by friction, where 2 objects, say for example a balloon and someone's hair, are rubbed together for a prolonged period of time, and the separation of the 2 objects would create an electrical charge. However, nothing in the trailer shows this is the case. Before Sonic starts running, he does some brief stretches, then gets in a stance, then just starts crackling for no reason. He isn't shown rubbing against the ground in any way, therefore, this isn't friction. The same could be said for later in the trailer where he jumps off the truck, automatically crackling despite likely not being able to pull any of this off. Nothing is shown that confirms this. If anything, it shows the opposite.
Anyway, what I learned the most about was his speed. You see, Sonic demonstrates a lot of different speeds throughout this trailer. At the very beginning, he clocks in at a whopping 760 miles per hour on the sheriff's dash-mounted radar gun. Given credit where credit's due, this is actually a pretty cool Easter egg, since Sonic is known for rolling around at the speed of sound, and the speed of sound is 767 miles per hour. So
Even though in your Sonic theory you made a point that he was moving far slower than that, but please, continue.
Which is why he's talking about how this Sonic in the movie is the most accurate to how he's described, while the ones in the games, at least according to MatPat, move much slower and do not meet this criteria. There's no contradiction, move along now.
he is in this scene rolling around at the speed of sound. So the movie got that fact about Sonic totally right and got everything else in this scene totally wrong. You see, Sonic running past a radar gun like that probably wouldn't return a speed reading at all. Speed guns shoot radio waves forward, which bounce off the target and back at the gun. Since Sonic is moving away from the gun, those bounce back waves would get stretched out. If Sonic was approaching the gun, those waves would have gotten compressed. This is called the Doppler effect.
And you got this information where?
This right here is a very good call, because I too hate it when people make loaded statements without the information to back it up. It's a fantastic idea you called him out on this.
Oh wait, he's actually started listing his sources. Damn!
What the fuck was that? Holy shit!
I was going to bring up that MatPat has a bad habit of talking about science but never providing links to his sources. Seems he's finally learned his lesson about that.
Okay, so let me see if I'm hearing this correctly. You acted as if you were going to make a point, only to acknowledge that said issue was already solved beforehand? It's not even like you were making a joke, you just stopped to take close to 20 seconds to say this for pretty much no reason whatsoever.
By measuring the distance between the marks on the road, we can actually calculate what speed he's traveling prior to erupting into that massive explosion. Now, if you were to guess, if I were to ask you right now, how long is each individual dashed center line on the highway, what would you say? Think about that.
Well, those dashes tend to vary based on the size of the road and where it is located. For example, in a turn lane, those dashes could be very close together, while on a highway, they could be seen as longer and farther apart. You did clarify the highway, but again, the road we see in the movie doesn't look like a highway. At least not to me.
So I decided to look into highway diagrams real quick, and I want to assume you're talking about something similar to this. Just a note, it'd be a good idea if you provided something so that those watching can be on the same page. In fact, let me see your source. Oh no. So it's bad enough you say it's good that MatPat cites his sources, but then you go on to make loaded statements and not have anything to back you up. I get this was likely something you stated from personal experience, which is already a bad idea if you don't have anything to support it, but all the same, you should at least have a site, chart, something to help back up your claim. Oh, and finally, highway is just the general term for any major roadway that connects two major locations, so he's likely not in the wrong if he were to call that road a highway.
Your guess down in the comments, and remember that you can always edit your comments after I reveal the answer. Make yourselves look smarter, just saying. Also, while you're down there in the comments making your guess, be sure to take a minute to support our sponsor for today's episode, us, Theoryware. Okay, so did that shilling give you enough time to make your guess as far as how long the lines in the highway are? Well, now it's finally time for that answer. Okay, so scientific surveys have shown that most people estimate that those lines are about 2 feet in length, when in actuality they're 5 times that length. They're 10 feet, 30 feet separating each individual line.
Hey, wait a minute. You were asking them to guess the length of the line, not the length between the lines. Make up your mind, MatPat.
He gave the length between the lines because he would later use them to estimate how far Sonic was running in the trailer. He wasn't flipping between the lines themselves and the distance between said lines. Quit stretching for arguments.
You see, the trailer ends with an epic scene of Sonic standing still while Jim Carrey, I refuse to call a man who would allow this,
You're basic.
Dr. Robotnik, while Jim Carrey fires off a salvo of rockets from his attack drones. Now, obviously, this whole thing is happening in bullet time, or let's say Sonic vision, where time is slowed down to Sonic's perspective of the world. So he must be fast because the rockets are literally standing still. And Sonic uses this opportunity to redirect the missiles and bullets away from him and towards the ground?
Did it ever occur to you that this is just a gag? Hell, it may not even end up in the final movie. Some trailers have exclusive gags or lines that won't be in the movie.
Okay, so I have a bit of a funny story for this point. So when I originally watched this, I was under the impression that she was talking about the part where Sonic was redirecting the bullets towards the ground, which doesn't work because MatPat himself was making a gag for this scene.
Sonic, there are people down there! Jeez! You not only look like a monster, but you act like one too.
However, somebody that checked the script for me, by the way, thanks Bennett for noting this, said that he felt the point was directed towards the slow motion scene in its entirety, and even with this, her point still falls flat with this regard. One, even if it is a gag, that doesn't mean it can't be used to back up a theory if it somehow supports it. Two, it might not be in the final movie, meaning there's no way of proving it won't be in the final movie, and this is a baseless assumption at best. And if I can tack on an additional point, going back to both mine and Bennett's confusion, it'd probably be for the best if you try to explain yourself a bit better in these situations. You play the part out in its entirety, which is fine, but stop briefly before MatPat goes on to something else and explain your point as basic as possible. When you have a lot going on in a video at once, it wouldn't hurt to at least be a bit in-depth with describing your points so that your viewer at least has a better time at catching what you're trying to say.
Knowing that Sonic is the size of a small child in the movie,
Do you have your child in that bag?
Well, technically, according to the Sonic X anime and the official Sonic Wiki, modern Sonic is 3'3", so that isn't entirely wrong, even if the scene you're referring to has some very uncomfortable implications.
actually estimate the size of each of these drones to be similar to this existing spherical drone that's 88 centimeters in diameter, or about 2.8 feet.
And how exactly did you come to this conclusion? Well, yes, you could argue that you took modern Sonic's usual height into account, but since we don't know if this Sonic is still 3'3", you are merely guessing the size of that robot.
Yes, almost as if he's, well, theorizing. As in, not absolute fact. First off, movie Sonic, as Matt had pointed out, is still rather small, so it's not too far off to say he's at least close to 3'3". Even if he's not absolute, he's still close. Second, he even goes as far as to call what he claims as the drone's height an estimation, meaning it may not be exact, but pretty close based off the information he has.
You see, that roadway scene from a while back is a bit misleading. Sure, I calculated that he's running at 1,200 miles an hour, but he also creates a blast that apparently knocks out the electricity for the entire North American continent. It seems like what he's created there should be a sonic boom, since, you know, he's traveling faster than the speed of sound, but that is not a sonic boom. This is a sonic boom.
Was that supposed to be funny?
Oh no, Booba stare. What the fuck is this?
Sonic booms wouldn't create an explosion that results in a nationwide blackout. So, is this just movie logic? Bad movie science? No, actually. The trailer isn't wrong here. And the real explanation for what's going on actually explains some of the weird design decisions that they made with Sonic. You see, that blast is most likely an EMP, an electromagnetic pulse.
Okay, no. An EMP, or EMP, typically involves magnetism, and last time I checked, Sonic isn't magnetic. Yes, he could generate electricity via the friction I mentioned before, generating static electricity, but not magnetism.
No, you're still off the mark on this. Literally one of the main causes of an EMP is indeed electricity. For example, if a strong bolt of lightning were to strike, it could easily overload circuits in a civilized area and, therefore, cause a small blackout. With this, what causes these blackouts aren't necessarily the electricity or lightning themselves, but the overabundance of electromagnetic radiation that could be created from them. MatPat himself even goes on to explain how Sonic could potentially be creating an overabundance in gamma rays from the electricity being created from his body, which, again, is not created by friction.
And with that, I go into my final thoughts. Ugh. MatPat, you have a really bad habit of jumping onto bandwagons and making theories on what's popular, even if it makes no sense. And making a theory after only one trailer does not help. If you want an example of a trailer theory done right, go watch the Sega Scourge's theory on Infinite. And as for you, MatPat, either wait until at least a second trailer drops or wait until the movie is out. Otherwise, this wasn't a film theory. It was a trailer theory.
And that's bad for whatever reason. Even if it's just one trailer, it still showed enough from the movie to give a basic idea of what's going on. Yeah, sure, something could be changed or added in the future, but one, there's no way of knowing that will happen, and two, there's still enough shown to get a basic idea of the movie. At worst, it would just make the theory debunked, and even with that, oh well, not all theories are going to be right in the end. Out and out, not to be rude, but this wasn't good. If I can, I want to show this clip one more time.
Okay, yes, I know I'm being a bit nitpicky here, but as a massive Sonic fan, I do have things to say about his statements later on.
Because I feel this clip rings more than true than ever and perfectly sums up my thoughts on this video. When I claimed earlier you were stretching for arguments, I wasn't being dramatic, because throughout the video most of these points felt either extremely exaggerated or non-existent, almost as if you were trying to make enough points in order to have a full video. And then there were points which felt like they could have been fair if used correctly, such as the one regarding the road markings and EMPs, but even those are badly mangled by either lack of sources or severe misinformation, if not both. To me, this video feels like a shoehorned attempt to make a video on an already controversial figure, but falls flat due to the already mentioned issues regarding the points. And that's all I got. Don't have any goofy ending ideas for this video, so with that, I'll see you all later. Peace out.